So, kicking off the warm up, as always, with our good old reset drills to build some foundational skills you're going to need in the big lifts later. Starting with our 90-90 position, focusing on a big long exhale to feel those ribs sink to the floor. And then after that, we can focus on the tuck and a big reach. So, if holding this position really well, you'll feel tons of hamstrings. Some things to look out for: just keeping those knees right over the hips, maintain a good reach, an awesome rib position. Aim for about 5 breaths with 5 long exhales. From there, we're going to be moving into our next position, which is just going to be a plank elevated onto a step of some sort. In this case, it's just going to be slightly elevated so that we can actually have a little more clearance for the legs and hips after that. So as we transition to this movement, get you something soft to lay down on, elbows on those pads. A couple things to look out for here are going to be, can we set up in a way that makes our abs parallel to the ground? I'd go softer knees here to allow a little more feel while pushing the chest away. One thing I look for when coaching this up is, are you tensing your hands up? Let's keep them nice and relaxed so we can focus just on the tension on the front side of the body instead of driving it through our neck. We're also focused on nice long exhales here as we go. The soft knees is simply because many people tend to lock their legs out and lose their hip and back position. So by going softer knees, we get a little better setup through that upper body. And then here I'm really queuing up some long exhales while keeping those hands apart because she was wanting to clasp them together fairly hard. Once we're done with the plank, we're going to be transitioning to our next setup, which is going to be a half kneel variation. We're going to go a front foot elevated half kneel. And in this case, we're going to be able to work on the very bottom of a lunge and really build this skill up. Now, in this case, I'm going to be coaching her up on learning how to get into one side of the body. We're actually building hip rotation on each side by going this way. If she really keeps that front knee over her foot, she's going to feel this move even better. And what you'll see me do here is I'm going to come over and actually cue her to pull that left arm back and hold and push that right knee forward to learn how to open up on that left side. So we'll get some feel on the down leg, but then we'll also get some awesome rotation happening. So just work your way through this movement. You can see in the background, just getting head over hips, pulling into position as we go. As we switch to the other side, I like to always cue just being very aware of how the body is feeling during these movements. What are you noticing? Where are you noticing movement is coming from? Where are you feeling limited? What are you feeling overall? Because if we can slow down for this part of the warm-up, we are going to be able to really level things up when we actually get exposed to lunges later on. And we'll round out with a couple more alternating reaches, head over hips as we go. And we're going to be transitioning to our next setup, which is going to be our wonderful push-up to downward dog. Now, in this case, what we're really trying to focus on is, can I add an actual push-up at the bottom, raise into it, and practice pushing the floor away? Oftentimes, I see people just crank into their lower back here instead of actually getting a good tall position and feeling that stacked setup from your hands all the way up to your hips. And what we've done here for Carrie is she's actually adding a push-up just because later this will turn into a full push-up position. In the background, you're actually seeing me change that to an arm bar just because we're working past a foot injury to help her out in this position. So big, long exhales. If you want to really get a lot out of this, at the top, you'll pause and you'll put pressure through the palms of your hands and go up to the sky and fully exhale. Also, where your eyes are in this position will matter. If you look down hard at your legs, you'll tend to throw your chest into the movement and actually drive through your lower back. If you look up too hard, a lot of times you can't find the ideal setup. So just keeping your eyes focused on one spot on the ground as you go is pretty key and will help out quite a bit. Transitioning to the next movement, we are going to grab a dumbbell that you have near you, and we're going to be going into a kickstand setup. And the reason I'm slowing this down is so that we can really learn these skills and eventually we pick up the pace. But we're going into a kickstand, and what we're focusing on is, can we just get one leg slightly back and practice learning to pull those hips back into position. Now, for this one, we chose to put the weight on the outside of the body and focus on just not letting it drift far away, but finding control, almost like straight down the elevator with the weight while the hips are trusted back. We're going to feel that back of that front leg here if we do this well. Some cues that I'm using here are really heavy through the front foot and practicing imagining someone was pulling your belt buckle back. What you're going to see in the background is actually a back leg kickstand. We're trying to get her off her toe, and so we're doing a version that's to a ramp and pushing the butt as far back as she can to learn how to sit back in space without putting as much stress on that toe as we go. And some other ways you can load it, if you put it in the same hand as a front leg, it would feel a little bit different, which we do here and there. But this is a great way to just really kind of get yourself going, especially when you know you're going to be deadlifting later on. As we go into the next one, we're looking at lateral squats. This is going to be our higher skill lift and learning how to, drop into a squat position as we go. We are using the ramp to help find our control, and that's what she's talking about, is finding which setup is going to allow her to get into that position. So we've used the wall before where it's going to block how far you go, but in this setup, we are now learning to operate in space. You're going to see me move the camera around quite a bit here, but we'll give our best effort. But dropping into that position, learning to trust the ramp and feel that dropping down. Now, there's two ways to go about this. You can shoot your hips back and make it more of a hingy split squat, or you can drop the hips down to make it more of a squatty one. Both those setups will have just slightly different outcomes. In this case, she's actually working on getting the butt back, almost turning it into a little deadlift of sorts. This is just the last move of the warm-up. From here, we actually move around the room quite a bit because we get the heart rate really going so that we can prepare for the workout to come. And this may look like medicine balls. It may look like, jogging in place, all kinds of things just to get yourself going. I hope you've enjoyed this. Give it a shot, and I will throw some more videos your way.